Thank you, Mary Lee. And now we're actually going to go back into the studio as Hayden Desmond sits with Harrison Tarr of the Plainsman, who was just on. They're going to give their take on the game as well as their predictions for the Iron.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Hayden Desmond, joined by my good friend Harrison Tarr from the Plainsman across the hall, and we are going to talk Iron Bowl. Harrison, straight up, let's jump into it. What do you think?
Well, thanks for having me on, first off. I appreciate it. Sorry, jump right into the Iron Bowl. I'm going to give you the number.
All right.
That's all right. First off, let's be an Alabama, and they like them a lot. 65.6% chance to win this game, according to the FPI. The spread has Bama at a 3-point favorite, so the over/under line is also 49. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Probably take the under today.
Take the under.
It's going to be a lot lower scoring than you think. Do you want to jump into the impact players, or do you want to touch on that a little bit first?
I'm going to touch on that a little bit. Obviously, if we're going to talk about the numbers, I'm going to take the over. I like both of these offenses to score a lot of points, but I will say, like he said, it's not going to be as high scoring as you think. Bama's scoring 60 points a game. Is LSU, if you really want to compare. Not as video game-like, especially with Mac Jones in there at quarterback, but I think this Auburn defense is the best in the country. The players will tell you that too. So I see Alabama scoring, but just not scoring as much. Give me your impact players.
Impact players. Okay, first off, I'm going to touch on, you said one of the best defenses in the country. If not the best, definitely one of the best. I think all the experts will agree the stats are a little inflated because of the strength of schedule. But impact players, obviously going to talk about Derek Brown on the defensive side of the ball for Auburn. I actually didn't really put that one down on my notes. I just wanted to mention that he's now hungry for that defensive lineman of the week from the SEC to catch up with Marlon Davis. One with Marlon Davidson, so there's a decent chance that he has a big time. Don't tell me that rivalry has nothing to do with how they play in the game. 100%. It definitely does. For Alabama, impact players, Najee Harris, it's a given. He's averaging 6 yards a carry, which, in case you guys did not know, that's good.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of yards. And he's just south of 100 yards a game, right at 97.5 in that ball. He doesn't have to do a lot. He has to do enough. The defense is going to be impenetrable, per usual. But that offensive line is also ridiculous. So he just has to do enough to set up Mac Jones, who I'm going to go into my next impact player, also Mac Jones, to be able to pass the ball. And he's got enough talent on wherever he looks for any of his checkdowns. Mac Jones, you don't have to do too much. If you're Mac Jones, you just need to complete the ball. The Nick Saban offense is sometimes, a lot of people call it a gimmick offense. You can plug anyone in there, and they can have success with the strength of their offensive line. So those are my Alabama impact players. You want to talk about your Alabama impact players?
I'm just going to jump into it. Yeah. Obviously, like he said, I have Najee Harris. Najee's at almost 1,000 yards, which would be Bama's first one in a while. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to take Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs has been a standout corner at Alabama. Brother of Vikings wide receiver, so there's a little bit of a sibling rivalry there with wide receiver and CB. He's got 36 total tackles on the year, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a touchdown. I think if he can get in there, I really am excited to watch Trayvon Diggs and Seth Williams on the outside. And then, like you said, Najee Harris. But let's jump into Auburn. Who do you have?
My first impact player is Noah Igbenogany. That's a name you're not going to hear a lot in terms of like draft stock. Known pretty well in the Auburn secondary because he's obviously a starter.
And kick return.
And a lot of kick return. Don't commit PIs if you are Noah Igbenogany. That's been a problem with him in big games this year. And if Mac Jones discovers early on that he can pick on Noah Igbenogany and that he will at least get a free 15 even if he doesn't complete the pass, that could become not necessarily a positive impact player if you're an Auburn fan, but a positive impact player if you're a Bama fan.
Right.
So do not commit PIs. You cannot be committing. And defensive holding has been a problem all year as well.
Yeah.
Also, Bo Nix, that's a given. I feel like that's a gimmick response. But don't try to be the hero today, but also try to be the hero today. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's a good chance that if he can get the run game established enough, he'll be able to find Seth Williams, and I would say other receivers, but it's usually just Seth Williams. He doesn't need to try to put the team on his back today, but he may have to if it gets in dire straits, as in the Georgia game, just like that. Bo Nix he's only completing 57.6% of his passes this year, and that's on 321 attempts. So there is a sample, and he's going to have to do better than that this game if he's going to be number 5 team in the country.
I agree. For Auburn, my impact players, I'm going to go sort of smaller. Obviously, Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson, Nick Coe, Tyron Truesdale on the defense, but I'm going to take one guy on the defense that you might not think about all the time is Christian Tutt. Obviously, the DB, and he's also the punt return. I think that if we can get a lot of yards in the special teams game, whether it be on punt returns or kickoffs, that's going to be one thing that is really up. Because if Bo doesn't have to go as far, then it's going to be better for the offense in general. Now, moving to the offense, one guy that I really like, and we saw a little bit of in the Sanford game, doesn't have a lot of stats this season, but I really want to see Gus put him in, especially for this big game. Wide receiver Shedrick Jackson. Shedrick Jackson, It's not impressive at all. I'm not going to lie. He's got 4 catches for 46 yards. No scores yet, but the guy can ball. The guy can run. He runs great crisp routes. He's a good deep ball. He can track the ball whenever Bo throws it up. So I think if Shedrick Jackson can take some of the pressure off of a guy like Seth Williams or Anthony Schwartz, that's one thing that we're going to look at.
And if you're an Auburn fan, you want to see Harold Joyner get the ball more.
100%.
More touches.
DJ Williams.
DJ Williams.
Now,
Definitely
one thing I will ask, do you think Mac Jones is sort of a Roy-esque quarterback where, in a sense, that you don't have to win the game, but you don't have to lose it?
Absolutely. And that's actually, like, it's resemble each other. It's not going to, the weight's not going to fall on him. It won't. It's going to be who's going to get outplayed, but I think he's going to get outcoached. The Iron Bowl is traditionally a just run the ball, ground and pound, kind of just a slugfest.
Yeah.
And it's going to be who can outlast whoever. And if Mac Jones keeps himself out of trouble, doesn't throw more than he can even throw an interception in this game, and probably still be fine.
Yeah.
Unlikely to happen. Auburn doesn't turn the ball over.
Right.
Doesn't force turnovers. But he just has to do what he's asked to do. Nothing more.
Give me your pick.
I have the final score of the game today. It's going to be 23-20. The Tigers are going to the top. I've got Auburn with 2 touchdowns on the ground. Anders Carlson's going to go 2 for 3 for field goals. He's going to miss one. He'll miss one early. And people will be doubting, but then he'll come back. That's my take. Alabama's going to put up 20 points. So 23-20, like I said. They're going to score 3 touchdowns all through the air. And they're going to miss an extra point. That's going to happen. Alabama has problems kicking in big games on chip shots.
Yeah.
So what about you, Hayden?
So I'm taking the Tigers 31-24, and I'm going to tell you how that scoring is going to break down. I think Auburn's going to have 2 on the ground. I think one's going to come from Booby, and I think one's going to come from Cam Martin. Actually, no, scratch that. Cam Martin's not going to score. I think Bo's going to get a run in from the 5. I'm going to have 1 through the air, probably to Seth Williams. And then I think the defense is going to come up and they're going to score, whether it be a Derek Brown scoop and run. He'll get there almost like he did against Florida. He'll get there this time. Or it could be,
Marlon won't let him
if
forget
not,
about
Marlon
it.
won't let him forget about it. Or it'll be a pick. So I think Auburn, and I think Anders Carlson is going to go 1 for 2 on field goals. I think he's going to miss one. It's Iron Bowl. All the players are nervous. So we'll see how that goes with it. I think Bama, like I said, 24. I think 3 touchdowns through the air to probably 2 to Judy and 1 to, I'm going to go Waddle.
At least 2 to Judy.
Yeah. And then, I think I can see the Bama kickers missing. I don't see them missing extra points, but I can see them missing a couple, costing them in the end.
Hayden, I'm going to go skip for a second. That's okay. Is there a world where DJ Williams gets the same amount of touches as Booby Whitlow this game?
100%.
Is there?
Yeah. I think Booby's still sort of recovering from that knee surgery a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
So I think DJ Williams, and we saw him do it against LSU. This is a guy that can run the ball hard, and he almost looks like a mini Booby.
Yeah.
He's a little bit bigger.
With a little bit more.
Right. So how do you think this game sort of affects the college football playoff?
This is going to have a huge impact, and bear with me for just a second. I'm going to give the my full picture here.
Okay.
As of right now, my college football playoff has got LSU, Ohio State, not Oklahoma, Clemson, and then this game's going to have a lot of implications. Alabama has to win if they're going to get the nod that they got to get in, and when they eventually did win the national title without winning the SEC. But they're going to have to win convincingly today, and then they're going to have to pray that LSU beats UGA. Because as of right now, UGA is in my 4. I think that even if UGA loses close to LSU, they could be our first 2-loss team in.
Okay.
Unless there's a fluke and a very convincing Oklahoma team wins the Big 12, as you were speaking of before we went on air. But there's also, there's a full slate of games to play today.
Yep.
UGA's got to win today, and those a little bit out of the blue, UGA's 28.5-point favorites over Georgia Tech today. Give me the Jackets as well. I'm taking the Jackets.
I'm going to get into my playoff. Like, we have very similar playoffs. The first 3 are the same. I think LSU beats UGA and they take the top spot because I think they beat them more convincingly than Ohio State beating. I think Minnesota's going to take Wisconsin today. I believe we agreed on that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Minnesota's going to take Wisconsin, beat them in the Big Ten championship.
Closer than the experts think.
I will agree with that. I think they're both good. Clemson's going to beat UVA. Shout out to UVA, though, because they are the 7th different ACC Coastal team to make it to the championship.
Which is really fun.
It
is.
A
different team every year, minus Clemson.
And then here's my 4. This is going to shock a lot of people. I think Oklahoma is going to be the 4, and I'm going to tell you why. I think Utah is going to go down in the Pac-12 championship. I think Bama is going to lose today, and I also think UGA is going to lose today. And I think Oklahoma is going to beat. I don't know who exactly they're playing in the Big 12 championship. I believe it's going to be Baylor.
It's going to have to be a rematch against Baylor.
It's going to be a rematch against Baylor. I think they win that one, and I think they jump all the way up to number 4. But that is our little segment here. We broke down, we gave you our impact players, our picks, and the implications that we have for the college football playoff. Harrison, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Throwing it back out to Andy.